What the bill can't legislate against is coercion by others. Yes, the patient has to declare the procedure is their own choice, and it needs the approval of 4 other people unrelated to the patient and without a conflict of interest. Assuming you can ensure the independence or the infallibility of these people, which is a big enough ask on its own, it is obvious that the relatives or friends could have influenced the patient beforehand. They could have been working on them for months, with a view to removing them as a burden, or getting their hands on an inheritance, or simply because they believe the patient should be put out of their suffering. The patient, who will likely be in a vulnerable state, might just acquiesce to placate their loved ones. There is no getting around this possibility, nor would there be any way of proving what had happened. People in favour of assisted suicide will argue the risk is worth it for the greater good, allowing the terminally ill to end their own suffering. Many thousands, they say, will do this legitimately with only a few aberrations. Those in the anti-camp will say that because the risk cannot be removed, it means we should not have the policy at all. You can decide which is the more persuasive. With the slippery slope argument, those in favour will insist nothing else will be up for grabs, whereas those against will express scepticism about this. It is all dependent on gut feeling, and we can never know until it happens. The same goes for the concerns about eugenics, or at least about the state indirectly using the process to thin out the recipients of expensive medical treatment and social care. There will be absolute certainty from both camps whether these sinister agendas exist or not. But unless we know the inner mental workings of those putting forward the policy, including the government and civil service that has let the debate happen, we cannot comprehend what is really going on. Again, we may only find out when it's too late. Whatever the morality of the bill, there will almost certainly be legal difficulties. Just one challenge of a procedure, or one proven case of abuse, could unravel the whole thing before our eyes. Public trust in the procedure could be undermined, as Parliament flounders around trying to firefight. It is hard to shake this notion. The MPs in favour have been so emotive and subtly smug, getting their moment in the limelight, but have they really considered the subject? Have they even had enough time to do so? It has officially been a free vote, but we don't know what sort of pressure or groupthink has occurred behind the scenes. A socially progressive party with a recently won majority of 156 seats is very likely to get swept up in a tribal madness. 58% of Labour MPs voted for the bill, 19% of Tories and 85% of Lib Dems. We may see the ill fruits of this in the future. Back to my opinion. I am not confident the many issues with this proposal have been properly considered. I can only hope in the committee stage the myriad of potential pitfalls are rigorously discussed and improvements are suggested. Contemplating a moral dilemma in theory is very different from implementing something in practice. If I were an MP, I would have been extremely cautious and quite possibly voted against the proposal as it now stands. Something does not sit well. Another question I am inclined to ask is why now? Was there really a vocal public demand for it, outside of a few activists and think tanks? How many people with terminal illnesses would want to use such a process anyway? Was it really a priority among all the pressing issues our country now faces? The NHS is currently completely dysfunctional and under great strain. I am also not sure now is the time to be giving it such a huge new responsibility. Perhaps we should repair the system and all of the factors affecting it before making such a move. We must hope there is no truth to the theory the government is looking for a way to save cash while spending it like mad elsewhere by allowing the gravely sick to thin themselves out. Likewise, we must hope private healthcare does not try and make it a money spinner. We must pray the slippery slope to Canada does not beckon, because if any of these fears are true, we have entered a very dark place indeed.